Welcome back. With the death toll from the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria has now passed 36,000. But the United Nations expects that number to continue to rise, and that 50,000 people may have died. In the meantime, search operations continue. Gift to the givers, the NGOs also there. Newzroom Afrika's Ahmed Kajee is travelling with them and joins us now. Ahmed, good afternoon to you. So many scenes of devastation in Turkey, so many scenes of people trying to rebuild their lives as well.
Yes, very much so, Stephen, and that's the picture which you are seeing behind me. People searching for their loved ones, hoping to get some sort of closure, and in some sort of way also bringing that hope to the fore. Earlier this morning, in the building behind me, an 80-year-old woman was rescued from this particular building that had collapsed in on itself, and thankfully medical personnel had taken her through to medical facilities. We understand that she had hypothermia, dehydration, having not eaten for going on 7 days since last Monday's earthquake, and that's exactly some of the hopeful stories which have been coming out of Turkey. Unfortunately, that is the anomaly rather than the norm coming out of here. Many of the people that we actually are seeing coming out of these buildings happen to be deceased, and that is the search and recovery operations as well. This is one of the other buildings on the left-hand side of your screen where K9 units have actually detected a survivor in this building. The unfortunate bit is, given the fact that this is probably about a 5 or 6 story building, finding a survivor who you may be able to get some sort of indication from a K9 unit may be relatively difficult to find. It's one has to just put a metaphor to it. It's looking at finding a needle in a haystack. That's the main challenge which the communities are facing around here as well. In terms of the Gift of the Givers operations, they're expected to be here until the weekend, and the team that's currently on the ground will be making its way back. They also have teams out in Syria. The operations obviously will continue over there. Just speaking to people trying to rebuild their lives, many individuals and many community members have set up soup kitchens at corners of the road or at fuel stations wherever they can, to at least assist the communities. In fact, even constantly offering media personnel as well if they have any food, or if we require any food. That's the extent of the hospitality which is being reached out by the Turkish people. But it's going to be a very long period and a long time until the government and the residents of over here in Turkey can recover from those millions of people who've been displaced, the hundreds of thousands who've been injured, and obviously the tens of thousands who have been killed, unfortunately, with that number expecting to increase beyond that 34,000 people. Stephen.
So, I mean, obviously people still working furiously, still hoping against hope that some lives could be saved. People there must just be devastated.
Oh, very much so. The emotions coming out of this area in the Hatay province. We're out in Antakya, and we had spoken through to a lady. In fact, we haven't spoken. She actually had to identify the remains of a loved one, and the scenes coming from there were absolutely devastating. You know, seeing somebody emotionally break down, having to identify a loved one is just one of many people that would have experienced something like that over here in Turkey, and that's just a small number. I mean, this has affected 10 provinces across the country, and it can only be even more difficult for many people who don't know where the loved ones are. We also spoke to a 15-year-old yesterday, and he actually lost his entire family, both his parents. Unfortunately, when explaining, he said that his parents were outside as he was making his way outside of the house. The building had fallen on top of his parents. Heartbreaking stories coming like that, absolutely devastating. And one can only hope that in some way or form, the closure can come through for many of the people who are at least waiting for the remains of their loved ones, or at least hope that they come out alive as well. Stephen.
Kajee, thank you very much indeed, live from Turkey, of course, in the aftermath of that earthquake. The number of people who've died is just astounding.